The Tesla Model S is the current king of straight line performance. The top dog Plaid version has over 1,000 horsepower. It'll do 0 to 60 in 1.9 and the quarter mile in 9.2. Try as they might, no one has built an electric car that's as fast, as exciting, or as interesting as Tesla's flagship. Until now. This is the Tesla Model S Plaid by California-based tuning company Unplugged Performance, codenamed Dark Helmet. And yes, the name will sound absolutely ridiculous or brilliant depending on how childish you happen to be. But the performance it promises is, by all accounts, far more advanced than the basic offering from Elon, but not because of any dramatic changes to the power output. Unplugged Performance is about working smarter, not harder. And that means underneath all the flashy aero is the heart and soul of a Model S. That means the batteries are the same, the motors are the same, the battery management system is the same. But that's no bad thing because that stuff is already top tier. I think I might need my own dark helmet for this one. So, I've never actually driven a Plaid before, and it would be a shame if I didn't at least feel what the acceleration was like. Now, incidentally, the term Plaid comes from the movie Spaceballs, and the term Dark Helmet comes from the same film. A little bit of sci-fi trivia for you. Now, let's do a launch. Head back. Oh my! Jesus, that's quick. That is insane. Oh man, I can hardly speak. The car is so quick. Wow. Wow. As mind-scramblingly fast as it might be from a launch, Unplugged Performance doesn't actually quote any 0 to 60 times. This isn't a drag car. Instead, it's focused entirely on going around corners, and that absurd aero creates drag that actually reduces its ability to accelerate. But where some electric cars might be able to keep up with it in a straight line, there is very little that can keep up with this Model S around the bends. Saying Dark Helmet has aero is a bit like saying Elon Musk has money. It's a bit of an understatement. Look at the front wing, big enough to slice your ankles off from 3 meters away. Enormous, and it's strong. It's actually bolted directly to the chassis because without that, it would fall off. It can take my weight. Understeer ain't gonna be a problem. Obviously, you gotta balance that front aero with a little bit of downforce at the rear, and Unplugged Performance have certainly done exactly that. I first want to draw your attention to this massive rear diffuser. Enormous, and it's a world away from the fake diffusers you get on many road cars. You might also have spotted this little wing up top. It's not little though, is it? This is the biggest wing I think I've seen on any vehicle outside of a 1930s biplane. In total, the aero package on Dark Helmet produces over 1,800 kilograms at 150 miles an hour. And it has a secondary use that not many people know about. It also doubles up as an ironing board. The rest of the bodywork is a mixture of standard Tesla and custom parts from Unplugged. It comes with their S-Apex carbon fiber wide body bolt-on aero kit, which provides 50mm more track width as well as weight saving. The front and rear windows are glass, but side windows are made of lightweight Lexan, and there are 19-inch race wheels with titanium lug nuts. Inside, everything has been stripped to the bare bones, with a single Alcantara bucket racing seat and very little else. The weight of a standard Plaid is approximately 4,700 pounds, although ironically, the addition of the extra aero and roll cage increases Dark Helmet's weight back up to a similar level. But the driving experience between this and a standard car are night and day. How does it drive? Well, first of all, there's the noise, or rather the complete absence of noise. I expected to hear the motors whining a lot more because there's very little sound deadening in this car, but actually I can't really hear the motors too well. What I am hearing is a ton of wind noise and loads of stones and rocks and pebbles slamming up against the underside of the car, and almost the sound of my own heartbeat pounding because of the sheer speed of the thing. And also the strikers. You might have heard it just then. So whenever you slam on the brakes, Basically, the car dives and that front splitter slams into the tarmac and you get this crunching noise as it bottoms out. It's supposed to do that, by the way. No real concerns. And then there's the wind. I've stood trackside watching this car fly by on the main straight, and it sounds like a fighter jet doing a flyby trying to break the sound barrier. It's epic, even on the outside and even without the sound of internal combustion. Maybe the biggest, most staggering difference between this and a normal Tesla are the brakes. They are next level. Unplugged have swapped out the steel brakes that you get in the standard Plaid for a set of carbon ceramic brakes, front and rear, competition pads, and they've also got steel brake lines, which means there's no loss of consistency. This thing stops on a dime every single time. It's incredibly reassuring when you're stopping, and that's despite the fact it's a heavy car.
Not that it feels that way, because with over 1,000 horsepower, the acceleration is frankly astonishing, quicker and more responsive than any combustion car I've ever driven. It corners well too, thanks to a full suspension makeover, including two-way race coilovers, billet adjustable front upper control arms, and unique lower control arms with sealed spherical bushings.
The big one though, the absolutely massive differentiator between this and your normal Tesla road car, are the tires. Dark Helmet uses Yokohama racing slicks. Illegal on the road, but out here on the track they provide astonishing levels of grip, and when you combine that with the weight of the car mashing the tires into the tarmac and the downforce, this thing sticks. Wow! It might have started life as a Tesla, but it doesn't feel like one anymore. This feels epic.
But of course, not everyone will agree. Tracks like this are usually dominated by loud, big-engined petrol cars with plenty of heritage, the drivers of which will take some convincing about the merits of an electric sports car, no matter how fast. To gauge the reaction of someone firmly associated with the old school, I invited professional NASCAR driver and Corvette Z06 owner Jesse Iwuji to get his take on Dark Helmet.
Jesse!
What's up?
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice toy you got there. What's that, the C8?
Yep, C8 Z06, so not just the base C8, it's a 2023 Chevy C8 Z06, non-Z07 package on it. Just got this actually a few months ago, and this car is absolutely amazing.
The engine is the star of the show in this thing, right?
Yes, so a lot different than GM's ever done. So this is the first time GM's ever done the flat plane crank motor. It's a 5.5 liter, smallest motor I've ever seen in a Corvette, but still making 670 horsepower. And to the wheels, it actually makes a pretty good amount at 617. So this thing's a monster wherever it goes, whether it's on a track, drag strip, street, you name it, this thing's an absolute beast.
And it's lighter than this car. And speaking of monster, I just want to get your opinion on Dark Helmet. What do you think of this thing?
This thing looks like Vader to me. It's a full-blown race car. I mean, if you look at this thing with all the aero on it, you got the racing slicks, racing wheels, huge wing on the back, and it's lightened up because there's absolutely no interior in there. You got a cage. I mean, this thing is ready to go. This is still a street car. I can actually take it to the grocery store, go get groceries, go home, and then go to the track if I want to.
Well, here's the question though, Jesse. Which one of these two cars would be faster around Big Willow today? Z06 or Dark Helmet?
Well, this thing definitely has the advantage with the aero, the horsepower, and the tires. And I think when you have the advantage in all those different realms right there, typically you'll win. But this thing is a heavy pig too at the same time, and it's an electric car. You can't left foot brake it and press the gas at the same time. So maybe that's a little disadvantage, who knows? Maybe a big Tesla is gonna come in with his nannies and say, hey, stop racing and pull the power away. I don't know, but with this thing, I know it's a monster. We'll see how it does, and maybe I'll have to use some skill to help drive this thing.
Well, skill is a great point, because what I wanna actually do is drive this car myself, set a lap time, and have you set a lap time in your Z06. And obviously you're a NASCAR driver, an actual professional, and I am not. Which of the two of us would be quicker, me in the Dark Helmet or you in the Z06 today, right now?
Since this car right here can pretty much drive itself, you might have the upper hand. But I'm going to try to see if I can pull some tricks out of my sleeves to see if I can outlap you with the C8 Z06.
Okay, all right, and with that,
let's do it.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
The result was intriguing. The Z06, a car developed specifically with the track in mind, managed a 131.53. Dark Helmet, in my hands, managed a 129.52. The heavily modified Tesla was quicker than the dedicated sports car by around 2 seconds. And Dark Helmet had several things working against it. During my lap, the car's state of charge was just 66%, which meant it wasn't making full power. Unplugged estimated a loss of about 150 horsepower. Its slick tires, meanwhile, were also heavily worn, having done many test sessions on this and previous occasions. It was at this point that we became curious as to what the car could do if it had full power, fresh rubber, and its development driver, Craig Coker, behind the wheel. So after topping up the battery and switching the tires for a brand new set of Yokohama slicks, Craig went out to see what he could do. The target, to get as close as he could to the current lap record set by a modified 911 GT2 RS. After his warm-up lap, Craig was fully dialed in and set off with the intention of setting one flying lap. Any more than that and the battery wouldn't be in a high enough state of charge or cooling to set a good enough time. But almost immediately, this happened.
Craig had to abandon the lap after just the first turn. This meant a lower than ideal, heat-soaked battery and dirty tires, but he decided to give it one more shot. After trying to cool the batteries, clean and warm the tires as best he could, this is how the lap played out.
Dude!
That was wild.
How did it feel?
That was insane.
Talk me through it. Okay, so turn one on your first flyer, what happened?
Turn one, first flyer. I don't think the tires were up to temp yet, and then I ended up just dipping 2 tires on the side, and I'm like, oh man.
Did you know you had another lap in you at that point, or?
I just reassessed, figured out the thermal management system, looked at everything, gave a couple good turns, car felt great, I just need to cool down. And then we went for another one.
Okay.
I went all out.
All right.
No holding back.
You certainly did. I have the times.
You do?
I have the times.
Ready? Tell me.
So, okay, so just to recap, okay, the EV record right now is a 127.78.
Yeah.
The overall lap record is a 121.08. You beat the previous EV record by 7 seconds.
No.
And you've smashed the overall lap record by over a second.
What?
Yes, you got a 120.045.
Oh,
Congratulations,
I
man.
love it. Thank you guys.
Amazing job.
Good. You were ripping out there.
Good job. So officially, Dark Helmet is the fastest car ever around Big Willow.
The king.
The king.
Dark Helmet, ridiculous name, ridiculous speed. With this car, Unplugged Performance has built an absolute monster. The fastest Tesla ever, the fastest car I've ever driven, and the fastest car ever around Willow Springs International Raceway. How long will its record last? Probably not long at all, because even if there was something fast enough to knock Dark Helmet from its perch, Craig and the rest of Unplugged still have plenty of performance to tap into. So I get the feeling Dark Helmet will be the car to beat for quite some time, not just here, but possibly anywhere it goes next.